What's going on? I'm Chiedo, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create a web server on Amazon Web Services. I know it looks way overwhelming because of all the different things that Amazon Web Services offers, but I'm going to try and make it really simple and get you on the road. Coming right up. My name's Chiedo. I'm with Chiedo Labs. We work with entrepreneurs to build their app ideas and websites. If you need help with your project, get in touch in the description below. And if you enjoy videos about tech, tips, tricks, and all sorts of dev stuff, go ahead and subscribe right there. And with no further ado, go ahead and hop into AWS. Let's do this. So, I'm assuming you have an AWS account, so that's kind of a given. And if you have trouble getting that set up, then this is a video that's way too advanced for you. So make sure you have your AWS account set up, and then go ahead and log into the console. Creating a server on AWS is pretty simple, even though it's surrounded with complexity. So the first thing is knowing the terminology. So a server on AWS is called an Ec2 instance. So let's go over to the browser. We're logged into the console. One thing to note, which is a huge gotcha, is you have a bunch of different regions up here. And depending on which region you select, that will determine whether or not you see the servers and whatnot that you have running. So if you set up a server in the Northern Virginia region, if you happen to be in the US East Ohio region, the next time you sign in, you're not going to see any of your servers and you're going to freak out. So make sure you know which region you're setting things up in. I'm setting things up in Northern Virginia. So now that's out the way. Let's go to Services, and right at the top, EC2. Okay, so what we do here now is we launch an instance. It's going to give us a bunch of options. I'm an Ubuntu guy, so I usually just look for the latest version of Ubuntu. This is fine. There are a bunch of different options. I wish I could give you like a great indicator on which one to use. But I like Ubuntu, and I usually just choose the first one I see, assuming it has the right operating system version and supports SSD, blah blah blah. So go ahead and select Ubuntu. And now they're going to give us a bunch of different options for the servers. The pricing is confusing with EC2 because they charge you by the hour. So that makes sense from a pricing perspective, but from I'm a developer perspective and I just want to get a server up and know how much money it's going to cost me each month, it gets a little confusing. Last time I did calculations, I think a nano server runs you about $5 a month and a micro server runs you at about $10 a month. But they have a pricing page. Just go to aws.amazon.com/EC2/pricing. And then what you want to look for is the on-demand pricing, just to keep it simple. So on-demand pricing, these are pay by the hour pricing, no commitment. So you could have it up for 1 hour and pay like a few cents. And then you'll see all the different options here and how much they pay, how much they charge you per hour. Using those prices, you can just do your math and multiply it by hours and days in a month. And that gets you a general gist. So going back, I'm just going to set up a nano because I'm just using this for demonstration purposes. Network performance, they show you, it's not really specific, but they'll show you like low to moderate or up to 10 gigabit. It gets more specific as you pay them more money. I've used low to moderate on most servers I've launched, and it's been more than enough. So I think low to moderate is in comparison to companies like Netflix and some of the big wigs who may be using AWS. So let's just choose the basic option. This is going to be about 512 megabytes of RAM, and this is going to cost you about $5 a month, and this is going to work just fine for a lot of purposes. So review and launch. So let's do next, configuration, instant details. So one thing I like to check is protect against accidental termination. So this makes sure you can't accidentally delete your instance, which is pretty helpful with how confusing AWS gets. So when you try and delete your instance, it's going to make you confirm again by turning off prevent accidental termination. So let's press add storage. And this is how you get to choose how much hard drive space you have. In my case, I'm just going to leave it at like 8 gigs because I'm not really going to do anything with the server. But in your case, you may want to raise that, increase that to maybe like 50, just depends on your application. And you can ignore everything else there. That's fine. Next, add tags. I usually don't tag anything. I don't have that many things going on in my personal account. Next, configure security group. This is where you need to pay attention. So right now the default is it's set to allow an SSH connection from any IP address. That's probably fine in most cases, considering that you're going to be using public-private key pairs, which I explained in another video, which you can see in the link, but you can see in the description below. What I like to do is usually click on my IP, and that's going to set it to your IP, so that it's only going to allow SSH connections from your IP address. If you don't know what a SSH connection is, I have another video in the description that you can also take a look at, but it allows you to work with a server remotely. Only choose my IP if you have a static IP address. And if you have a static IP address, you should know. If you're not sure, just go ahead and leave it at anywhere, which is what all the zeros will mean or imply, and review and launch. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know it's open to the world. I know that. For me, it's not eligible for the free tier. Fine. Lots of stuff you can ignore. Launch. And so now it's going to ask me to choose an existing key pair. Where's my key pair? Choose an existing key pair. Blah, blah, blah. Create a new key pair. I don't want to create a new key pair. So let me quit that. So now we need to create a key pair. And I know why. It's because I'm usually not in this region. So everything you do is really coupled to the region you're using it in. And I think the last server I set up was in Oregon. So let's go to services. Back to EC2. Key pairs right here. And so what we want to do is import a key pair. And so here, this is where you give it the your public key contents. You don't give it your private key contents. Never share your privates with anyone, just your publics. So key pair name is the, let's say, Chiedo MacBook. That's fine. Go over to my terminal and cat. And you want to output your key, and so I'm doing that with the cat command. Tilde means your home path, so .ssh/idrsa.pub. Copy that public key. Back over to AWS, paste that. Import. Now we'll go back to our other tab and see if it uses Ajax, so I don't have to start this process again. And let's click launch. Boom, select the key pair. Chiedo MacBook pops up right there. I acknowledge I have access to the private key on my MacBook, and that without this file I can't connect to the instance. Yeah, cool, sure. Launch. I don't want that. Okay, so now we just need to wait for it to spin up. So we'll go back to EC2. One running instance, but let's confirm that it's actually up. Hey, it actually is running right here. One of the things I like to do is, so when you launch an instance, it's not going to have a static IP address. That's fine if you're doing things behind a load balancer, but if you're just using it as a standalone server, you want a static IP address, so let's get it one. So now we're going to go over to, where are we at? Elastic IPs. Allocate new address. Allocate. I like that voice. I do that in a lot of the videos you'll see. Okay, close. Now we need to associate it. Associate address with an instance. We only have one, so that makes it easy. And then associate. Close. Now when we go back to our instances, we'll see the IP address right here, and that's what we need to connect to the server. And so now, the final thing, just to make sure this all went as planned, we're going to go and try and SSH to our machine. So SSH, Ubuntu is the default username when you launch an Ubuntu instance. IP address, yes. Ta-da! We're good. So, with no further ado, I think we're done. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If I made any mistakes, I know I do a lot, so just let me know what those are and I'll try and correct them in the descriptions. If you need any help with your project, get in touch with us. Information in the description below. And please be sure to subscribe if you want more videos like this about technical topics. If you have a request, let me know in the comments. Catch you later.